Okay, we're going to move on to the last part of our podcast. Going to be talking offensive rookie of the year. If you're thinking, Ricky, where's the defense? Next week, we're going to end the podcast talking about some defensive rookie of the year, some guys that we think could take home the award, and then we'll end the segment with who we think is going to bring home the award. And I'm going to throw a curveball at you, Mark, because this is a guy I feel like we've got to talk about. Yeah, we don't have to talk about him because he plays a position that some deem worthy, some don't deem worthy. More people than not kind of forget about this position, even though you could make the case that it is becoming one of the more valued positions on a team. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Does Robert Aguayo, the kicker, the rookie kicker, win rookie of the or offensive rookie of the year?
No, stop it. No, definitely not. Calm yourself.
Does he have that season where it's like, hey, he was the best for his team?
No.
And he wins. He's best kicker in college, becomes the best kicker in the NFL year one.
No, I mean, even being the best kicker, you're not going to be the best player.
What, put you like not even top 100 in the NFL?
No. I mean, you're a kicker. We all know you are at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to starters in the NFL. Like, yeah, you guys are important, and sometimes you lose games by kicking the laces. Other times you win the Super Bowl at the very end.
Don't bring that up, man. Don't bring that up.
You know, there's a lot of things that kickers do, but we all kind of know that kickers, we don't really care about them very much. We only care when they win or lose that game. It's not often that kickers are really in the situation where they are winning or losing that game. So I would not be super... I wouldn't. No one could convince me that a kicker's going to win this. Now, the other thing to say, of course, is that there's some really obvious ones out there that are going to take this away. It could, it could be Ezekiel Elliott.
Man, I had to cough there.
It could be Goff.
See, I don't know. I don't know if it is Goff. I don't think he is.
It's easy for a quarterback to win, though.
Yeah, but I feel this year the main guy who is like, boom, he's the front runner and everyone else is just watching him, is Zeke. Like if I was going to Vegas and you said, Ricky, you got to put $100 down on somebody to win this award, I'm putting my money on Zeke because that's going to be that's the guy to give me the best return to at least get my money back.
Yeah, and I think that the team he's on is obviously the best of any of these guys we're really talking about, with possibly one exception, which we'll get to. So he's got the easiest road there, and he's also going to be in a lot of good games where his team is winning. It really helps when your team wins games for you to be the offensive rookie of the year. Obviously, quarterbacks have an easy way to do it, whether it's going to be Wentz because, let's be honest, Wentz is probably going to start at some point this season, or if it's going to be Goff because he's the obvious number one pick starter.
I feel like for Wentz, and I'm going to throw Paxton Lynch into the same boat, the reason why they're the quarterbacks that I wouldn't necessarily put as offensive rookie of the year is because they're probably not. They might not start week one. I mean, you've got Sam Bradford ahead of Wentz, and we don't know how that situation is going to play out. And we also have Mark Sanchez in front of Paxton Lynch. So those two quarterbacks are more developmental.
Yeah, but I would make the argument that if someone like Paxton Lynch comes in week 4 and lights out, he has an RG3 like rookie season, Cam Newton like rookie season. He can. It doesn't. I don't care that he didn't play the first quarter of the season. He can still be, because when he was out there, when he was on the field, he was the most valuable rookie out there. If that's the situation, then I think. No, I think. Yeah, you got to get some nod.
I think we are not going to have a quarterback as offensive rookie of the year this year.
Now, the thing that I mentioned about another guy who's going to be very, very valuable to his team is a wide receiver. Ricky's going to be upset because it's not his team's wide receiver.
Let me guess. Can I take a guess?
Sure.
Will Fuller.
Of course.
Yeah.
On the Texans.
That's what I thought.
Good defense out there, so it's going to be a good team. They're going to be in a lot of situations to win. Will Fuller, a lot of people had him as their favorite wide receiver. If, of course, you weren't saying that Laquan Treadwell was your favorite wide receiver. You were probably one or the other in this situation. You got the new quarterback up there who's ready to make his name. He was doing good stuff over in Denver. Now he's in Houston, and he wants to go get his team to glory and show that this is his team. And he's got a great weapon in Will Fuller to really make that happen. I think Will Fuller has a great chance of being the top wide receiver to do it because he doesn't have to compete with Adrian Peterson for attention. Like, of course, Laquan Treadwell is going to.
I'm going to go back and I'm going to say that I could see Zeke or Will winning the Rookie of the Year award before, let's say, a Jared Goff, because I'm going to put this into perspective. From 2010 to 2012, that was a 3-season span. We had 3 quarterbacks win Rookie of the Year. Bradford with the Rams, Cam Newton with the Panthers, RG3 with the Redskins. Since 2012, that was the RG3 Offensive Rookie of the Year. Since then, a quarterback has not won the Rookie of the Year. And if you even go back from there, the Rookie of the Years that we had were 2008, Matt Ryan. 2006, Vince Young. 2004, Big Ben. You have, I'm going to even go further than that. I mean, Big Ben, he was the first quarterback winner since Dennis Shaw in 1970. Because this has been an award that from 1970 all the way until Big Ben won it in 2004. Yeah, there were some wide receivers sprinkled in there, but there were some good fucking running backs that have won this award. The ones during, like Eric Dickerson won it. I'm going to skip a few. Barry Sanders, The Boss, Marshall Faulk, Curtis Martin, Eddie George, Warwick Dunn, Edgerrin James. We've got Clinton Portis was a serviceable running back during his career. Cadillac Williams was coming out hot of college. And then recently, out of the last 3 years, it was Eddie Lacy, Odell Beckham, Todd Gurley last year. So to me, if you're putting your money down on Offensive Rookie of the Year, put it on one of the wide receivers, either Will Fuller, Laquan Treadwell, or Josh Doxson. Fuck, even you could throw Corey Coleman in there. I know he plays for the Browns, but I would put my money on him before Jared Goff. And the reason being is look at what Goff has. Goff doesn't have anybody to throw to. RG3, Cam Newton, Sam Bradford at least had teams.
And also don't forget that RG3 and Cam Newton were a team in themselves. Those two were mobile quarterbacks.
Well, RG3 did it all.
Yeah, he did everything, and that's why he is what he is now.
And Cam Newton that first year wasn't the Cam Newton we saw this last year. He ran around with the ball.
Yeah. Now, I want to point out that we're talking about the guys like Eddie Lacy, the guys like Odell Beckham, who won. But let's also remember...
Odell even won it, and he missed the first, 8 games of the year.
Yeah. So, that kind of only just goes to prove my point of it's still
of the
possible.
Lynch-Wentz one, yeah.
Yeah, it's still possible. But let's look at some of the quarterbacks that played. 2013, Mike Glennon was drafted as a rookie. E.J. Manuel, Geno Smith. You're not happy about that. You knew none of those guys were going to win Rookie of the Year. Let's go 2014, of course, Blake Bortles, Johnny Manziel, Derek Carr, Teddy Bridgewater. You're pretty sure none of those guys were going to win either. The point here is there weren't good quarterbacks really coming into the NFL making that name. There wasn't an RG3. There wasn't a Cam Newton. There wasn't an Andrew Luck out there. So these past few years, I still would say it's easier for a quarterback to win it than any other position because quarterback has the ball in his hand every single down.
And the one thing I did do a little bit of research in case the keyboard warriors have already typed in the comment section. But the only quarterback from 2010 to 2012 that won Rookie of the Year that didn't have the best of wide receivers was Sam Bradford. Because in 2012, RG3, his top 3 receivers that year, his top 4 receivers all had over 500 yards. He had Pierre Garçon, Santana Moss, Leonard Hankerson, and Josh Morgan. All of them serviceable wide receivers. Cam Newton only had the 1,394-yard monster of Steve Smith and Greg Olson and Jeremy Shockey and Brandon LaFell that year. So he was pretty set. Plus, he had the dual-headed monster in the backfield of D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart. Oh, and that's on top of his 126 carries and 700 rushing yards. And then you got Sam Bradford, who his top receiver, 689 yards, Danny Amendola. The next one at 620, Brandon Gibson. Like, those are the names where it's like, okay, Danny Amendola, okay, that's a serviceable name, but Brandon Gibson, like, yeah, he had a good season, but that's a name where it's like, fuck, you did it. You got Rookie of the Year with those guys catching the ball? Mm. Congrats, man, because you just showed up with those 3,512
First
yards.
season for him was good. Now, last year, of course, we did have Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston out there.
Yeah, but Todd Gurley
well.
just had a fucking monster of a season.
Yeah, so there was no competition in that case.
And that's what I think, getting back to Zeke, that is why I think Zeke is the for sure winner, because he's going to me, in my eyes, he's going to do the same thing that Gurley did. Because look at that fucking offensive line that he's got down there in Dallas.
That whole team is great.
He's got Tony Romo as his quarterback, Des Bryant catching the balls. He's got Jason Witten as the tight end. And then just think about what DeMarco Murray was able to do with that offensive line. Now put a guy like Zeke. That's like saying we've got DeMarco back. That's what Dallas is saying. Dallas could be a viable even favorite to win the Super Bowl with Zeke. I'm not going to say they will because I'm just going to kiss of death them. And I've already got my kiss of death picked out, but I'm not going to say it. I know who I'm kiss of deathing all the way in May, but yeah, if I had to pick anyone, I think it's going to be Zeke is the guy we crown as Offensive Rookie of the Year, just because look at what Gurley
He's
did
the
last
obvious
year.
pick. Well, it's also that, I mean, Ezekiel Elliott went to the best team. Mm-hmm. There was no reason why a team like the Dallas Cowboys, I know their season was terrible last year, but there's no reason that a team on paper that good should have been drafting that early. Injuries was the reason. But there's no reason why a team should have been in that situation for they are.
And I will say this, if Will Fuller is even in the discussion, the reason why he'll be in the discussion is because teams will double team Jalen Strong and DeAndre Hopkins enough to where it's like, fuck, they're double teaming him. I'll just throw the wide open Fuller. Mm-hmm. And
Fuller's
he's just
a great target.
He's just going to catch just deep bombs all day.
And that's gonna be a problem. That's the other problem of Laquan Treadwell.
I think he's going to turn into the main number one in Minnesota, though.
Yeah, but he's going to get the double teams.
True.
And Adrian Peterson's taking those carries away. Because the receptions away, because you want the ball in Adrian Peterson's hand. So it's going to be tough for him. It really will.
I don't know. Percy Harvin won it in 2009, and he had AP as his running back.
Yeah, that's true. Percy Harvin's a little bit different than the Laquan Treadwell.
AP then won it, and AP also won it in 2007.
Yeah. So if I was going to rank these guys, I'm obviously putting Zeke first, putting Will Fuller, then I'm going to put Laquan Treadwell. Then it's got to go Goff. I mean, and after that, I don't think it's really worth ranking after that.
No, top three is it. My top three from number one down, I'm crowning Zeke at the beginning of the season. He's going to be the Offensive Rookie of the Year with Will Fuller at 2, Laquan Treadwell at 3. I don't even think Goff gets to the podium. He doesn't even get a medal in the Rookie of the Year race. But this is where you guys tell us down below, what do you think about anything we talked about today? Tom Brady, what do you think about Langsford? Bears fans want to hear from you guys. And then obviously the Rookie of the Year chatter for the offensive side. We will get to the defensive side of the ball next week in Mark's. It's actually your last week before you take a week off because you're going to Puerto Rico.
I am. Where there's no football.
Where there's no football. No football yet. We could be playing football over there.
I mean, it's basically a state. Why not?
Yeah, it's basically
People will get mad
state.
at me for saying that, but hey, they voted. They wanted to become a state.
It's basically the 51st state. But
they said they're willing to be.
That's going to do it for the onside kick. As for my name is Ricky Widmer, at Ricky Widmer, at the Mark Weber, at Most Valuable Pod. Go ahead, hit that like button and that share button, repost, I believe it's called, on SoundCloud. If you're on YouTube, hit that like button. If you're new, hit that subscribe button. Go check out our Patreon page if you want to give us that little bit extra support. Patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast. Thank you guys for checking it out this week. We will talk to you guys next week. But as always, have a good day, everybody.
Thank you for listening to this MVP podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Most Valuable Pod for more great podcasts.